All right. Hello, English class. I have this beautiful presentation of feminist criticism and how it's in the short story Araby. And to start off, I got a quick summary of feminist criticism and saying how it acknowledges cultural and economic disabilities in a society dominated by the man. The lack of the female role prevented women from seeing their creative possibilities, and many stories identified women as merely a negative object with no human value, putting a very materialistic view on women, making them seem like they're something that can be purchased, and they're only good at housework that the husband doesn't want to do, so cooking and cleaning. And this leads me into the next point, saying that literature that lacks the strong female role are more directed towards male readers, and this isolated women from realizing their own potential. So this, and obviously the education back then was more directed towards males, since males were the most dominant in the workforce. This led to the common like housewife jokes of like cooking and cleaning and all that kind of stuff. So speaking of the lack of the female dominance in around the 1910s, when Araby was written, that brings me to talk about feminism in literature now, and obviously it's drastically changed in recent years because females obviously have more rights. Dual income households are what's normal compared to the working man and housewife, and inflation has caused the need for both partners to work. And this change can be shown in the difference of popularity in literature by showing Goodreads' best books from 1910 to 1919, and all three books were written by male authors, compared to books from 2010 to today's date, and all three of the top books are written by female authors. Obviously, all very popular stories. Going back, Peter Pan, everybody's read Peter Pan or at least watched the movie when they were a little kid, and everybody knows Harry Potter and now the Hunger Games, which has come up in most recent years. And it kind of makes you think about what kind of literature like society has missed out on in that century before female authors became more prominent and popular, due to the fact that in the 1910s, obviously, women weren't doing much other than being a housewife. And then, still talking about today's society, we lead into how maybe in like fiction novels, females aren't really objectified, but definitely in comic books today still, we see female objectification through them being over countered by their male counterparts, and the fact that their outfits and the way they're drawn is extremely sexualized. Comic book fans are looking for a more realistic uniform for women that are claimed to be more battle ready. So instead of Wonder Woman's classic outfit here, she would wear something that covers all of her skin, and this would be a more Superman look, to where he has the whole body covered with the weapon belt, and like comic book fans claim that the need to show skin is objectifying. And comic book artist Jay Campbell has made a comment on this, saying that that basically shoulder pads, especially big bulky ones, never look good on women. Everything about them is unfeminine, lack style, and that he finds the continued knee-jerk reaction to the internet message board critics demand to keep female heroes covered from head to toe in fabric and overreaction, saying that Wonder Woman's a female Amazon warrior, she's not in the Taliban. So obviously this comment made by a comic book artist is very sexist and also racist, saying that if she's covered from head to toe that she's somehow a terrorist. And this is what started the Hawkeye initiative, where it's all fan based art that's used to mock female poses with male superheroes. And we can just look at some of the pictures, even though they're a bit uncomfortable, but that's the whole point of them, and they're a little bit funny. So we have just art drawn by fans just to prove a point, saying how ridiculous it would look for men to pose like the way women superheroes do, showing that the demand for equality is obviously there. And people are now starting to complain about the alter egos associated with the male superheroes who became before them and female superheroes, saying that why can't Batgirl be called Sonar, something that's more relevant to an actual bat rather than the Batman, or why can't X-Men be called the X-Mutants? And to solve this, the newest comic book issued is Captain Marvel, and this is Marvel's, and she's actually getting a movie in 2018, and it's Marvel's first film to be led by a female superhero. And to continue this movement, the documentary She Makes Comics addresses the prominent history of women in comic books. That includes drawing and the female superhero aspect. And then another example of objectification in today's society is I was going to include a video of Trump saying that a reporter wouldn't have her job unless she was beautiful, and then but it won't load, so I'm just going to include the link when I post it. So in the short story Araby, the comic books and Donald Trump closely relate to it because the female character in this story is just based solely off of her beauty, and that's why I've chosen the feminist criticism lens. The book was published in 1914, which was the beginning of World War I, where women were just starting to see changes in equality, which made war posters encouraging women to get involved, led them to see women entering the working class to replace the men that went to war. Although in 1914, not all women had access to equal work, saying that employers preferred single women, mothers and wives didn't seem to be fit or useful, saying that the separation was still very prominent between the genders. So this also leads into the religion of the time period, and religion was one of the main themes in the short story, since the narrator lived in a home of a priest that passed away, and he also attends Christian school. So it's claimed that puberty was the main reason for his lust for Magna and sister, because he didn't care about a bond with a female, he was just attracted to her looks, and leading him to cry "Oh love" into his hands, into the back room where the priest died of his house. And I've also included a picture of a Christian school, and it's about the time when the story was published. And as you can see, it's mostly all boys, clearly prepped for military. So seeing a woman might have been a new experience for the narrator. And then this leads into the female objectification in the short story. Since the whole story is based off physical attraction, the narrator first shows this when he mentions her appearance when Magna gets called in for tea when they're out playing, which is something that he states he looks forward to. He only admires what he can look at, not Magna and sister's personality, showing immaturity, and the fact that he doesn't even care what her name is throughout the whole story kind of shows that he obviously isn't ready for a committed relationship. Just seeing Magna and sister as something that can be bought, and that's something of value. And so this leads to the confusion of his admiration, because obviously Magna's sister just considers the narrator a friend of her brother, so obviously she's going to be nice. And I'm just going to include a little picture to give you an idea of the age difference between the two characters, as assumed by the story. And this leads into the reality of the story. At the end, when he gets to the bazaar and he's just disappointed due to the lack of opportunity to buy her a gift for her love, and how false his imagination was about the bazaar. So this shows him continuing to mature, realizing that real love shouldn't be purchased and everything was just a figment of his imagination. And he becomes terribly upset at the harsh reality. And the narrator's actions can be called the loss of innocence, which is a very popular theme in fiction, pop culture, and realism. And it shows what a human being comes to terms with when they are growing up, thus being an integral part of coming of age. And it most likely happens as an experience in the child's life that widens their awareness of evil, pain, or suffering in the world around them. In the case of Araby, it was a harsh reality of real love, and women aren't just aren't just some item that can be purchased and persuaded with money. And another example of this is The Lord of the Flies, where the children are challenged to face reality, and some handle it peacefully while others turn into savages. And that's my presentation on feminism in Araby and a summary of the criticism. Thanks for watching.